flames roared like a wild beast, devouring everything in its path. Smoke billowed into the sky, turning the Los Angeles night into a suffocating haze of chaos. Firefighter Jake Carter crouched low, his breathing labored as his oxygen tank hissed with every inhale. Somewhere inside the inferno, he thought he heard it, a faint, desperate voice crying out for help. It was barely audible over the crackling flames and the shouts of his team, but it was enough to make his heart race. Someone was in there, trapped, and time was running out. The fire had started earlier in the evening, its origins unknown but its path of destruction undeniable. Homes, businesses, and lives were at risk, and every second counted. Jake's team had been battling the blaze for hours, their bodies pushed to the limit. Yet, even amidst the exhaustion, Jake's focus remained razor-sharp. His instincts told him this wasn't just any call. This was a life-or-death moment, and he couldn't afford to fail. Hunt told him to fail. Jake Carter had spent 15 years as a firefighter with Station 27. He had seen his fair share of danger, raging wildfires, collapsing buildings, and harrowing rescues. Yet, despite the peril, he never considered himself a hero. To him, it was simply a job. At home, Jake lived a quiet life. His modest apartment was decorated with photos of his late parents and his dog Max, who had been his companion for years. Friends often teased him about his single-minded devotion to his work, but Jake always shrugged it off. He'd chosen this life for a reason. The memory of his father, a firefighter who had died in the line of duty, drove him every day. Jake's father had once told him, being a firefighter isn't about recognition. It's about doing what's right when no one else can. When the Los Angeles fire broke out, the city was thrown into chaos. The blaze spread rapidly, fueled by dry winds and unseasonably high temperatures. Entire neighborhoods were engulfed in flames, and evacuations were underway. For Jake and his team, it was one of the most intense operations they had ever faced. That night, Jake was assigned to a residential area on the city's outskirts, where reports of people trapped in their homes were flooding in. As he scanned the area, his eyes caught sight of a small, weathered house that looked out of place among the modern suburban homes. The roof was already ablaze, and the windows glowed ominously. It was clear that whoever was inside didn't have much time. The air was thick with smoke, making it hard to breathe even through his mask. Jake's radio crackled with updates from his team, but he tuned them out, focusing solely on the house in front of him. He felt a pang of urgency. It reminded him of an old fire he'd worked years ago, where he hadn't been able to save everyone. This time had to be different. Tank. Jake sprinted toward the house, his heavy gear weighing him down. Jake, that structure's about to go! But Jake couldn't stop now. He'd heard the voice again, a faint plea for help, and he knew someone was still alive inside. Kicking open the front door, Jake was met with a wall of heat and smoke. Visibility was almost non-existent, but his flashlight cut through the haze, revealing a cluttered living room. He called out, "Fire department, is anyone here?" A weak cough came from the direction of the hallway. Guided by the sound, Jake navigated through the house, dodging falling debris and flames licking at the walls. The heat was unbearable, even through his protective gear. In a small bedroom he found them, an elderly couple huddled together on the floor. The woman clutched a framed photo to her chest, while the man tried to shield her from the heat with his arms. "We're here to get you out," Jake said, kneeling beside them. The man, Mr. Daniels, looked up with weary eyes. "My wife. She can't walk," he said hoarsely. Without hesitation, Jake assessed the situation. He lifted Mrs. Daniels into his arms, her frail frame barely adding to the weight of his gear. "Hold on to me," he told Mr. Daniels, who clung to Jake's jacket as they made their way out. The journey back through the house was harrowing. The ceiling above them groaned under the pressure of the fire, threatening to collapse at any moment. Jake moved as quickly as he could, shielding Mrs. Daniels from falling embers. Mr. Daniels stumbled behind, coughing violently but refusing to let go. As they neared the front door, a beam collapsed in their path, blocking their exit. Jake's mind raced. He spotted a window to their left, partially cracked.